Does have nuclear weapons. They were asked, and they said 58% favor using diplomatic efforts first, 35% are opposed to doing it.
This is alert now on North Korea, now saying nuclear war could break out at any moment. It's claiming the U.S. is moving the needle toward a nuclear crisis. Quote, unless the hostile policy and the nuclear threat of the U.S. is thoroughly eradicated, we will never put our nuclear weapons and ballistic rockets on the negotiation table under any circumstance. Now, these latest threats, as Vice President Mike Pence says, the U.S. is looking for a peaceful resolution.
To be clear, the United States of America will continue to bring the full range of American power to bear on the regime in Pyongyang, as we hope to achieve through diplomatic and economic means a peaceable solution and the achievement of the long-sought goal of a nuclear-free Korean peninsula.
South Korea and the United States have kicked off another round of joint military exercises. The 10-day drills, described by the U.S. Navy as a maritime counter-special operations exercise, are taking place against the backdrop of increased tensions and the possibility of further provocations from North Korea. Yin Xin tells us more.
Another round of joint military drills by South Korea and the U.S. kicked off Monday in the waters both east and west of the peninsula. As many as 40 naval vessels from the two allies are involved in the exercises, including the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan, which holds up to 70 aircraft from fighter jets to helicopters, and the 18,000-ton submarine USS Michigan, packed with some 150 Tomahawk cruise missiles. South Korean attack helicopters, defense units, and warships such as the Sejong the Great Aegis-armed destroyer have also been deployed for the training exercise. In addition, the U.S. is using the Joint Surveillance Target Attack Radar system during the drills, monitoring North Korea's ground and naval movements up close. The U.S. Navy described the purpose of the operation as to check the allies' communications, interoperability, and partnership. However, there are concerns that Pyongyang may protest against the military exercise with additional provocations, as joint drills like these have antagonized the North in the past. The military remains on alert as officials from Seoul also raised the possibility of another missile launch from North Korea around the date of China's 19th National Congress of the Communist Party on October 18. Pyongyang's latest threats included a nuclear test and a ballistic missile launch only a month ago. Last week, U.S. President Trump said that Washington is always open to negotiations when it comes to North Korea, but also will remain ready for other possibilities.
Now, members of the Trump administration are throwing their weight behind the president's strong words on North Korea. They say that while the administration wants a diplomatic solution, it also has full military options on standby. Washington's UN envoy says President Trump's message was even shown through his recent action on Iran's nuclear deal. But the regime, clinging onto its leverage, says its nuclear development is purely defensive in nature. Kim Mok-yeon has this report.
U.S. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster has reiterated President Trump's message to North Korea. McMaster said on Sunday that Trump will not permit Pyongyang and its leader Kim Jong-un to threaten the U.S. with nuclear weapons, adding that he has been very clear about this. He also stressed that Kim must recognize that developing a nuclear capability will not keep him safer, explaining it's actually the opposite. Another key cabinet member, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, said President Trump has given him the green light to continue his diplomatic efforts with North Korea, efforts that will continue until the first bomb drops. Tillerson added the U.S. has military preparations ready to go and has those military options on the table, adding the Trump team has spent substantial time perfecting them. The top U.S. envoy to the UN, Nikki Haley, cementing the administration's position, said that President Trump's decision to not recertify the nuclear deal with Iran sends a, quote, perfect message to North Korea. This following Trump's announcement that he would not recertify the 2015 multilateral deal under which Tehran agreed to curb its nuke program for sanctions relief. Haley said the U.S. president is trying to make sure Iran does not become the next North Korea, adding the message is that Washington will not engage in a bad deal. Against this backdrop, the deputy chairman of North Korea's Supreme People's Assembly, An Dong-chun, said as he addressed the Interparliamentary Union Assembly in Russia that Washington leaves the regime with no other choice but to develop nuclear weapons. Russia's TASS news agency quoted An as saying the existence of North is at stake, especially as Trump has said the U.S. could totally destroy the country if necessary.
We're going to see what happens, but we cannot allow this to happen. This should have been taken care of long ago. Clinton gave them billions of dollars, gave them lots of other things, and before the contract, the ink was dry on the contract, they were already starting again with the missiles and with the nuclear, frankly. So we are in a position, look, we're very strong. I'm building up the military like nobody's ever seen. We're close to $800 billion in spending. Sean, I don't know if you know, but the military, our military was totally, really depleted. You look around and you see what's going on. You take a look at what we're buying right now with the jet fighters and all of the equipment we're buying. And, it's two things, really. It is jobs, and that's far less important. But we build the greatest military equipment in the world. We have missiles that can knock out a missile in the air 97% of the time. And if you send two of them, it's going to get knocked out.
Is it fair to say if he keeps firing missiles, that's going to end?
Well, I don't want to say anything. I'm just
telegraph.
telling you, I don't want to talk about it because, all these people, they talk. I remember with Mosul, and, I use this all the time with Mosul. We are going to be attacking Mosul in 4 months. We're attacking Mosul in 3 months. I say, why do they keep saying it? Attack, do it, or don't do it, or whatever. But they kept talking about it. And by the way, it turned out to be hell on wheels. It was hard because they were so totally prepared. And I'm not saying I'm doing anything, and I'm not saying I'm not. But we shouldn't be talking about it.
Calm before the storm. You're not going to talk about that either?
No, I don't talk about it. No.
Iran, it was interesting. Bill Clinton, when he made the deal with Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, he actually said, this is a good deal for the American people. It was not. It seems the same mistake was made with President Obama and the Iranian deal. There's reports you will decertify this. You can also pull out of it. John Bolton's suggesting you just pull out completely. Why decertify and not just scrap it?
Well, you can do both, to be honest with you. You can do both. You can decertify and then... I know exactly what I'm going to do, but I can't give it away tonight. But I'm going to be announcing it very shortly. But
why not, right?
But I will. I mean, there's no secret. I think it was one of the most incompetently drawn deals I've ever seen. $150 billion given. We got nothing. They got a path to nuclear weapons very quickly. And think of this one. $1.7 billion in cash. This is cash out of your pocket. What? You know how many airplane loads that must be? Did you ever see $1 million like a promotion where they have $1 million in $100 bills? It's a lot of. This is $1.7 billion. You'd almost say who would be authorized to do it, and who are the people that deliver it? You may never see them again, right? But,
plane loads.
But just plane loads. So this is the worst deal. We got nothing. So I'm not giving anything away, but I've been saying this for a long time. You have people dancing and screaming in the streets of Iran. Now, I have to tell you, those people are possibly staged because I happen to believe the people of Iran are great people and they want freedom and they want to be sort of friendly with us. I really believe that. But they're dancing in the streets and they're singing Death to America, and Kerry's out there negotiating a deal and giving up every single point. He'd go in, we'd like this, you're not having it, done. It's the worst deal I've ever seen. Whether it's countrywide or any other wide, there is no worse deal. So we will see what happens pretty soon. A lot of people are guessing, but maybe there's not so much guessing. But it was an incompetently drawn deal. Look, it's a very bad deal. I'm not saying anything different tonight that I have been saying for 2 years. Yeah. It's a horrible embarrassment to our country. And we did it out of weakness when actually we had great strength.
Let me ask you about immigration. You came up with a 70-point plan. There was fear after you had met with Pelosi and Schumer and you were talking about DACA. One of the things I've always noticed is we always get the tax increase, we never get the spending cuts. You always get the consideration on immigration, you never get the wall built. Part of it is there will be, you said, no deal on DACA unless, of course, we're going to end chain migration. You're going to build a wall that's going to be see-through now, so the...
Well, it may be. We're looking. Yeah. We right now have built 5 prototypes. They just are going up, and some of them are already finished. And I will say they're really looking good. They're really looking good. And our country needs it. We need it not only for people, but we need it for the drugs that are pouring into our country. I mean, we have drugs that are pouring into our country, so we don't have a choice. And... You know, you can say what you want. Yeah. I was with Bibi Netanyahu of Israel, and he was saying, Donald, the wall works. Believe me. They had an open border that was like a sieve. People just poured in. He said 99.9% of the people now, it's stopped. Nobody gets in. Nobody gets in. The wall has to be built. It has to be built. A properly built, constructed, designed wall, high, not a little fence like they'd have. They had walls that were so low trucks would drive over them. It was easier to drive over it than to take it down. Can you believe it? Okay.
So no amnesty.
No, the wall, no amnesty. No amnesty.
No chain migration.
Chain migration is one of the disasters. You allow one person in, and that one person brings in 10 or 12 people.
No DACA until that you fund the wall.
And the United States have kicked off another round of joint military exercises. The 10-day drills, described by the U.S. Navy as a maritime counter-special operations exercise, are taking place against the backdrop of increased tensions and the possibility of further provocations from North Korea. Yin Xin tells us more.
Does have nuclear weapons. They were asked, and they said 58% favor using diplomatic efforts first, 35% are opposed to doing it.
This is alert now on North Korea, now saying nuclear war could break out at any moment. It's claiming the U.S. is moving the needle toward a nuclear crisis. Quote, unless the hostile policy and the nuclear threat of the U.S. is thoroughly eradicated, we will never put our nuclear weapons and ballistic rockets on the rocket.
Hope to achieve through diplomatic and economic means a peaceable solution and the achievement of the long-sought goal of a nuclear-free Korean peninsula.
South Korea.
It's rather on the negotiation table under any circumstance. Now, these latest threats, as Vice President Mike Pence says, the U.S. is looking for a peaceful resolution.
To be clear, the United States of America will continue to bring the full range of American power to bear on the regime in Pyongyang as we